Welcome to Money Deconstructed, where we break down complex financial topics. Today, we're tackling a fascinating comparison, the popular 50, 30, 20 budgeting rule versus how the wealthiest 1% actually manage their money. You've likely heard of the 50, 30, 20 rule. It's simple, accessible, and widely recommended for getting a handle on personal finances. It suggests dividing your after-tax income, 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings or paying down debt. It's a solid starting point for many. But does this straightforward rule reflect how the truly wealthy, the top 1%, operate? Not quite. Their financial world is a different beast altogether, involving sophisticated wealth generation, complex investments, strategic debt, intricate tax planning, and long-term wealth preservation. In this audiobook, we'll first dissect the 50, 30, 20 rule, how it works, who it's for, and its limitations. Then, we'll define who makes up the top 1%, looking at the income and net worth required to join this elite group. We'll dive deep into the multifaceted financial strategies the top 1% employ, contrasting their complex approach with the basic framework of the 50, 30, 20 rule. How different is managing money at the top? Let's find out. Understanding the 50, 30, 20 rule. So what exactly is the 50, 30, 20 rule? At its core, it's a framework for allocating your after-tax income, the money that hits your bank account after taxes and deductions. You take that net income and divide it. 50% for needs. These are your absolute essentials for living and working. Think housing, rent or mortgage, basic utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, essential childcare, and minimum debt payments. Sticking to 50% can be tough, especially in high-cost areas where housing alone might eat up a huge chunk. 30% for wants. This is your discretionary spending. Things that improve your lifestyle but aren't strictly necessary. This includes dining out, entertainment like streaming services or concerts, hobbies, gym memberships, unless required for work, travel, gifts, and non-essential shopping. This category offers the most flexibility if you need to cut back. 20% for savings and debt repayment. This crucial part builds financial security. It covers building an emergency fund, aiming for 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, saving for retirement via accounts like 401(k), or IRAs, making other investments, and importantly, paying more than the minimum on debts to pay them off faster. The rule's main purpose is its simplicity and accessibility, especially for budgeting beginners. It encourages mindful spending, helps avoid high-interest debt, and pushes you to set and track financial goals, like saving for retirement or a down payment. It aims for a balance between current needs and wants, and future security. However, the 50, 30, 20 rule isn't a rigid mandate. You can adjust the percentages. If aggressive saving or debt payoff is your priority, you might shrink the wants bucket to boost the savings/debt one. If needs consistently exceed 50%, wants might need trimming. But it has limitations. It can be unrealistic in high cost of living areas or for those with very low incomes. More significantly, its simplicity becomes a drawback as finances get complex. It offers little guidance on how to invest the 20% beyond basics, or how to handle variable income, manage significant assets, or navigate complex tax strategies, all critical for higher earners. It also focuses on after-tax income, potentially downplaying the strategic use of pre-tax savings vehicles like traditional 401(k), which are powerful tools for wealth building, especially in higher tax brackets. If it doesn't fit, other systems like zero-based budgeting might be better. Defining the top 1%. Before exploring their strategies, let's define this top 1%. It's complex, with figures varying based on data source, year, and location. Income. How much do you need to earn annually to be in the top 1% in the U.S.? Recent estimates generally fall between $650,000 and $820,000. Smart Asset suggests around $788,000 nationally for 2024, while the Economic Policy Institute cited averages around $786,000 to $819,000 for 2021 to 2022. IRS data pointed to a minimum adjusted gross income, AGI, of about $683,000 for tax year 2021. But this varies wildly by state. In places like Connecticut, Massachusetts, or California, you might need over $1 million annually. In states like West Virginia, the threshold could be closer to $400,000. A key trend? Top 1% incomes have grown much faster than those of the bottom 90% over recent decades. Net worth. How much do you need to own? Here, definitions like high net worth individual, HNWI, $1 million plus investable assets, very high net worth, VHNWI, $5 million plus, and ultra high net worth, UHNWI, $30 million plus, become relevant. To enter the top 1% by net worth in the U.S., estimates diverge. Household-based data, often from the Federal Reserve, suggests a threshold around $13.60 to $13.70 million in 2023 to 2024. However, Knight Frank's Wealth Report, focusing on individuals, puts the U.S. threshold at $5.8 million for 2024. This difference might stem from measuring households versus individuals. Globally, the U.S. threshold is high but trails places like Monaco, $12.9 million, and Switzerland, $8.5 million. Wealth concentration. The top 1% holds a significant and growing share of U.S. wealth, around 30.8% in late 2024, up from about 23% 3 decades ago. The top 0.1% alone holds about 13.5%. This wealth isn't mostly cash. It's heavily concentrated in business ownership and financial assets. This mirrors global trends where the richest 1% own nearly 45% of all wealth, with billionaire wealth seeing dramatic increases, especially recently. These varying figures show top 1% isn't a fixed box. What matters more are the financial behaviors associated with managing substantial wealth, which often kick in long before hitting a specific debated number. The key takeaway is that their wealth is dynamic and asset-based, requiring a management approach focused on growth, risk, and optimization, far beyond the scope of the 50, 30, 20 rule. How the top 1% actually manage money. So, how do the wealthy approach their finances? It's a world away from simple budgeting rules. Beyond budgeting, traditional budgeting like 50, 30, 20 becomes impractical at high income levels. While understanding income and expenses is vital, strict percentage rules don't apply. Many HNWIs don't follow formal budgets if spending is well within their means, though some studies suggest they can underestimate spending significantly. The focus shifts to holistic cash flow management and comprehensive financial planning. This means tracking all income sources, aggregate spending, asset performance, liabilities, and future needs. Given the complexity, they overwhelmingly rely on a team of professional advisors, financial advisors, wealth managers, tax specialists, estate planning attorneys. These experts provide tailored advice on investments, taxes, risk management, and legacy planning, often through specialized wealth management firms or family offices. AI is increasingly used for hyper-personalized advice. UHNWIs often use multiple advisors, valuing integrated service. Income generation focus. A key trait is a relentless drive to increase income potential. This means continuous skill development, taking on rewarding challenges, negotiating effectively, and seeking better opportunities. Saving a high percentage is easier with a large income base. Diversifying income streams beyond a primary salary, through side businesses, consulting, passive income, is common. As wealth grows, the balance shifts from active income, salaries, business earnings, to passive income, dividends, interest, rent, which can constitute the majority for the ultra-wealthy. Entrepreneurship remains a major path to top-tier wealth. Spending patterns. Wealthy spending often defies stereotypes. There's an emphasis on quality, value, and durability over quantity. Experiences like travel, dining, and cultural events are often prioritized over material goods. Spending is often conscious and strategic, aligned with values like sustainability or philanthropy, and viewed as an investment in health, education, or assets. Major spending categories include housing, around 28%, childcare and education, 13%, vacations, average $12,000 plus annually, and food, 12%. Many actively manage lifestyle inflation, choosing to live below their means to prioritize long-term goals. Crucially, HNWIs often spend a much smaller fraction of their income compared to the average person, with savings rates often exceeding 2/3 of post-tax income. This high savings propensity fuels wealth growth. Savings and investment. This is where the divergence is most dramatic. Top 1% savings rates average around 38%, far exceeding the 4% for the bottom 90% or the 15 to 20% typically recommended. Some studies show HNWIs saving over 66% of income. A critical concept is saving by holding, accumulating wealth through unrealized capital gains on appreciating assets like stocks and real estate, rather than just setting aside income. Their portfolios are highly diversified across asset classes. Recent trends show a shift from high cash holdings back towards growth, with allocations increasing in alternative investments, private equity, hedge funds, private debt, real estate, around 15%, real estate and fixed income, alongside equities and cash, around 25%. They engage in calculated risk-taking managed through diversification and maintain a long-term investment horizon, avoiding short-term market noise. And again, they heavily leverage professional expertise for strategy and access. Strategic debt management. While avoiding high-interest consumer debt like credit card balances is crucial, the wealthy often use good debt strategically as leverage. This includes mortgages for properties, loans against investment portfolios, business loans, or specialized financing. The decision is based on whether the potential return justifies the borrowing cost, focusing on strategic capital deployment. Wealth preservation and legacy. As wealth grows, protecting it becomes vital. Proactive tax optimization is key, using strategies like maximizing tax-advantaged accounts, 401ks, IRAs, HSAs, tax loss harvesting, strategic asset location, holding investments for long-term capital gains, using tax-exempt bonds, strategic charitable giving, and estate tax minimization via trusts. Comprehensive estate planning is essential, involving wills, trusts, revocable and irrevocable, powers of attorney, and healthcare directives to control asset distribution and minimize taxes. Advanced insurance strategies manage risk, including high-value life insurance, long-term care insurance, disability insurance, and umbrella liability policies. For entrepreneurs, business succession planning and general asset protection using legal structures like LLCs or trusts are critical. The core differences summarized. Let's crystallize the contrast between the 50, 30, 20 rule and top 1% practices. Applicability gap. The 50, 30, 20 rule's fixed percentages and simplicity don't scale to the complexity and magnitude of high net worth finances. It fails to address asset management, complex investments, tax optimization, strategic debt, or estate planning. Focus. The 50, 30, 20 rule focuses on allocating current income and controlling spending. Top 1% strategies focus on managing and growing assets, strategic resource allocation, not just spending control, and optimizing overall wealth through sophisticated investment, tax, and preservation techniques. Priorities. The priority shifts from meeting needs/wants and basic saving to maximizing growth, preservation, and legacy. Debt shifts from something to simply avoid to a tool for strategic leverage. Financial management moves from a DIY, rule-based approach to professional orchestration by a team of experts. Paradigm. The 50, 30, 20 rule helps manage scarcity within income limits. Top 1% strategies manage abundance, deploying capital for growth while defending against complex risks. Budgeting is relatively passive once set. Wealth management is an active, dynamic process requiring continuous monitoring, adjustment, and expert guidance. Conclusion. The 50, 30, 20 rule provides valuable foundational financial literacy, promoting discipline and basic saving habits crucial for many. It's a solid starting block. However, the financial world of the top 1% operates on entirely different principles. Their success hinges on a proactive focus on income and wealth growth through sophisticated investments and entrepreneurship, the strategic use of leverage, relentless tax optimization, comprehensive wealth preservation via estate planning and insurance, and crucially, the guidance of expert advisors. Their planning often extends beyond personal security to encompass multi-generational legacy and philanthropy. The journey from managing a paycheck using simple rules to orchestrating substantial wealth involves a fundamental shift, from managing income to managing assets, from basic saving to complex investment and tax strategy, and from individual budgeting to professionalized wealth management. While not everyone will reach the top 1%, understanding these advanced strategies offers valuable insights. It highlights the importance of a growth mindset, the power of long-term planning, the strategic use of financial tools, and the value of continuous learning and expert advice as your own financial situation evolves. Thanks for tuning in to Money Deconstructed. We hope this exploration of the 50, 30, 20 rule and top 1% financial strategies provided valuable perspective. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the world of money. Let us know in the comments which strategies resonated most with you. Until next time, keep learning and building your financial future.